Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Tabcom Voices. This is our Tabcom radio broadcast, the American Baptist Churches of Massachusetts, and I am Reverend Christine Keddy. I serve on the Tabcom staff as Director of Missions and also Coordinator of Elder Ministry. And I am delighted to have with us today for our Mission Matters session, Reverend Charles Jones, who is the coordinator for missions for international ministries for, let me see if I can get this right, Europe, the Middle East, and Liberia. Did I get that right?
Yes.
Good. Okay. Welcome. I'm really gonna have to force myself not to say Sir Charles. Welcome, Pastor Charles.
That's fine. Sir Charles is fine.
And we're so glad to have you with us this morning.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I am delighted to be here, and I pray that our time together will be a blessing to all of us, that we will learn. I've already, learned of your passion, even as you introduce yourselves, your passion for mission, and so I'm just delighted to be here and to be a part of this experience.
If you could just give us a little background of how long have you been with IAM? What exactly is your function there? That would be wonderful.
Thanks. And it's a very long story of how I got to international ministries, but suffice it to say, I know that it was only by God's leading that I came to serve at international ministries in 1997. So it's been 25 years now that I've been at IM. And I came as an administrative assistant, but within the year, one of our area directors retired and I got asked to fill that role. At International Ministries of American Baptist Churches, we've divided the world currently into 5 big global regions. And so I am one of 5 area directors. And as Christine said, I have the responsibility for Europe, the Middle East, and Liberia. And again, the reason why it's such a weird configuration to include Liberia is that I am originally from Liberia. There was a time when I was responsible for Europe, Middle East, and all of Africa, because that's the configuration we had, and it became untenable. So we decided we would separate the areas, and I was given the option of choosing which I would serve in, whether Europe, Middle East, or Africa. And I said, I couldn't choose because I had built relationships in all those places. And so, my staff colleagues, our executive director and others decided that I would work in Europe, Middle East, and someone else would do Africa. And so I put on my pity face and went to them and said, oh, I can't give up Liberia, right? So that's how come I have this weird configuration, Europe, Middle East, and Liberia. I like to say, to define our roles as area directors in 3 general ways. One is we are responsible for building and maintaining and growing our international partnerships. So area directors will be the ones who would, visit places in advance and start to build relationship. And then if we feel God leading us to enter into partnership, we would be the key contact and facilitator of that for international ministries. The second area of responsibility includes support and direction and guidance for our global servants, our missionaries who serve in our area. So currently in Europe, Middle East, we have missionaries, the Kochmans in the Czech Republic, and they actually serve regionally across the whole European Baptist Federation, and you hear a little more about the Federation. We have the Stantons, Larry and Becky Stanton, John and Amanda Good, and Camilla Jones. Those are our global servants in Hungary. And then we have one unit, a husband and wife, who are our missionaries. They live in Great Britain, but the partner they work with has worked mainly in Africa, in Tanzania. But they are our global servants living in the UK. And then we have global servants in Lebanon, Dan and Sarah Chetty, and Melanie Bagao. So those are the global servants outside of the US. There's a couple that is working in Turkey, but they live here in the US, Rich and Laura Freeman. And again, longtime American Baptists who felt called to support church planting and new pastors in Turkey. And so that has been the ministry, but they live in the and so those are the global servants that I have primary responsibility for. And then the third part of our work. So the first one is global partnerships, international partnerships. The second is support and care for our global servants. And the third is part of what I'm doing here with you today is that area directors are responsible to help facilitate American Baptist participation in global mission. And so, in any ways that we can be a resource to our regions, to our churches, to our servants as Christine, helping to connect American Baptists and others with what God is doing around the world. We want to do that. So we do it through meetings like this or through facilitating cross-cultural experiences. And again, we can talk a little more about the Mission Express, doing that virtually or certainly in person. I just got back from a trip to Israel, Palestine, when I took a group of 8 persons to visit partners there. We're planning other trips, but yeah, so that's what we do. So partnerships, personnel, and you say programs, but I like to say, involvement in mission. So that's what I do as an area director here at IM. And I've been blessed to have been serving here for 25 years now.
Excellent. Thank you for that. That was a good summary of all the wonderful things that you do. So you and I had the blessing of meeting during one of those Mission Express trips. Yeah. Actually, we've been able to be on a few of those trips together now. And if you could explain a little bit, just shortly about what that is and how that came about as a result of the pandemic.
Exactly. Yeah, and again, this is one of the blessings of that has come out of the pandemic when we had to be isolated and couldn't do things in person. God blessed our short-term mission office with the vision to do these virtual mission trips. So the director for that office is Reverend Sandra Dawsonville, who some of you or all of you probably know. And so under her leadership, we started doing these virtual mission experiences, and we tried to make them as real as possible. So for instance, when we would say we're now boarding and we would arrive and our partners, would introduce us and take us around to see sites and stuff. So we try to make it as real as possible. And it is real because again, we're meeting with partners, we get exposed to the ministry, and we have opportunities then to interact with them. So for instance, as Christine said, we were on a mission experience to our partners in Israel, the American Baptist. I always miss it because they are ABC, the Association of Baptist Churches in Israel. We had an opportunity. And I think Christine was probably on another one where we talked with some of the church planters that we support through the European Baptist Federation. Mm-hmm. So that was an interesting one because we actually visited 3 different countries in 3 days to meet with the church planters, again, to learn about their ministry and to encourage them. So that's what the Mission Express are, these virtual mission opportunities to engage, to learn, and to be a blessing and encouragement to our partners. I remember especially one of the first ones we did was to Lebanon, and our partners in Lebanon are, just going through so much. And so for us to have had that opportunity to meet with them, to pray with them, was a big source of encouragement. So that's what the mission experiences are. And we know that even after we are sort of coming out of the pandemic stage of this disease, even as we enter into the endemic stage, we still will have Mission Express. So because even, as Joan said, she hasn't traveled out, but she has supported others to do it. One of the advantages of Mission Express is for people who cannot physically go for any number of reasons, cannot physically travel abroad. the Mission Express provides the opportunity for them to do it virtually. And so we encourage that even going forward, we will have both the in-person experiences and we'll continue to have Mission Express virtual experiences.
Yeah, I've invited Reverend Sandra to present at our Mission Works conference in the
Great.
fall, because I specifically want her to present on this virtual aspect, because I just think it has, opened the door to so many people who could not be involved in missions because they weren't able to travel. Either they maybe have mobility issues that prevent that, or they have financial issues that prevent that, or they are caregiving for family members and can't leave. Or they have small children and can't leave. There's so many different reasons that people may not be able to travel. And so this has really opened up the door of missions for other people to be involved and made it a much more egalitarian experience. So
Amen.
I'm a big champion of the Mission Express. So we hope that we'll be able to get more folks to come and learn about it as we go forward.
Yeah.
But now I want to talk about what I really invited you here to share with us, about what's going on since the war in Ukraine has started. And we have some mission partners that are on the ground, either close by, that have been able to establish some ministries with the churches that are in Ukraine. And I just wanted to know if you could give us just a kind of a synopsis of that. And yeah, that would be great.
Thanks, Christine. Yeah, we actually in early June this month, we came upon the 100-day mark of this war in Ukraine. And again, I have said repeatedly that I cannot understand how in 2022 there are humans who would think that war is the answer to anything. And so we continue to see the horrific destruction, loss of life, and the immense suffering. Because even as this continues, we are being introduced to different aspects of the horrors of this war. So again, we are working with our regional partner, is the European Baptist Federation. And we have decided to support the relief work through the EBF, because again, the EBF is itself coordinating the response within Europe. So both within Ukraine and in the 5 countries bordering Ukraine, that would be Poland, Slovakia, Hungary, Romania, and Moldova. And so earlier on, we decided we would send our funding to the European Baptist Federation. And by the way, let me say here that the Assistant General Secretary for the EBF is going to be our international guest at the World Mission Conference in Green Lake next month. So, if you haven't yet registered to come, and you can, please do register to come to the World Mission Conference, because again, we'll be asking Hella Litt is her name, and be asking her to share, to update us on the relief efforts. But we thank God for the wonderful response we have received from our churches and individuals here in the States. We have probably passed the $1 million mark in financial gifts. The last report that Lisa was able to run before she went on sabbatical, it was $900 and something thousand from churches and individuals in our regions. So we thank God for this wonderful outpouring of solidarity and the love of Christ in trying, to bring God's grace to bear on this horrible war in Ukraine. Of that amount, and again, one of the things that happens when we have these disasters is we want to communicate that our response is a marathon and not a sprint. So we want to be careful and to be wise stewards of the resources that are entrusted to us. So out of this, I would say $900,000+, we have to date sent to the EBF. And again, the way we work is they will request funds. They would appeal for funds before we send them. We wouldn't just send the money. So we have sent close to $300,000 to the European Baptist Federation. And we are, again, one of the reasons why is that the European Baptist Federation, again, itself is made up of 50 plus members. And so there are others both within Europe and around the world who are also contributing to this. So as of now, we have moved from the relief stage to start to talk about rehabilitation and resettlement. So we're waiting to receive appeals from the EBF as to what the funding would be for. And now we move again into a strategic phase where we want to make sure that the gifts that are given to us and that we give to the EBF will be used in the most strategic way. Another part of the funding has gone to our global servants, who, because again, there are five of them, 3 units, two couples and 1 single, who live in Hungary, which is a neighboring country to Ukraine. And so refugees have poured into Hungary. And so the 2 couples in Hungary actually live not very far from the border. Larry and Becky Stanton live in Teglash, and John and Amanda Good live in Debrecen. And if you look at the map of Hungary, if you find Budapest, which is the capital, and you just move almost directly east, you will see you going towards Ukraine, and the Goods live in Debrecen, and the Stantons in Teglash. So Larry has been going to the border, working with Hungarian Baptist Aid, and he goes to the border and just does whatever is needed. So sometimes he's driving refugees from the border into Hungary. Sometimes he's distributing food or hygiene products or whatever is needed. The Goods in Debrecen have worked with the local church in hosting refugees. And when the church, reached capacity, the Goods actually have hosted refugee families in their home. So we thank God for that. And again, we provided funding to both the Stantons and the Goods to assist them in these efforts. Camilla Jones, our single woman missionary, lives in Budapest. And her church in Budapest has focused on outreach to African students. Because again, I don't know if you've kept up with the reporting coming out of the war, we find that even in a time as horrendous as war, there's still segregation and racism that is operating. And so we've heard even more heartbreaking stories of how, Africans will be at the train station and they will see empty trains, not empty trains, but there will be seats on the train leaving, and the guards will prevent them from getting on those trains. So they've had to walk, days, and they get to the border, and then there's more, so there's a lot that's been happening with Africans leaving Ukraine. But Camilla's church in Budapest is reaching out to them. And one of the things we've most recently helped Camilla with is to provide funding so that there's a restaurant that she contacted, because a lot of the foods in Ukraine were not quite palatable to the African, diet, and so these people were struggling with having to eat, what was being provided. So Camilla was able to find a restaurant that agreed to prepare African dishes, or some dishes closer to African diet for them to eat. So we have been providing funding so that Camilla could do the engagement. Now again, because this is a refugee situation, it's very fluid. They come and I think they had 30 days to be in the country, and then to find either return to their home country or find another place to go. So there's shifting within the population, but again, we continue to work and support our global servants. We have said to them, again, with the funding provided graciously by American Baptists, that whatever their financial needs are for the ministries to do, and to let us know. And so we have been responding to do that. The church that the Stantons attend in Debrecen has 12 sister churches in Ukraine. So one of the things we have done is to provide funding to purchase a van because they actually go into Ukraine. They take food and supplies into Ukraine and bring refugees out. So we provided funding to help purchase a van to do that. So that's what we've done. I mean, in terms of the statistics, again, if I don't know if I can pull up, my the latest statistics, and let me give you a resource. If you go to www.ebf.org, EBF standing for European Baptist Federation, they do a weekly update situation report. And so you can see that I think as of the first week of June, more than 10 million people had fled the country. And I think they said about 4 million had returned. So now there about 6 million people have fled the country. Many more have been internally displaced, which reminds me, I mean, I talked about how we have supported the work of the EBF and the work of our global servants, but we also have some ecumenical partners. So Church World Service here in the US, they have decided to concentrate on Moldova. Moldova is the poorest country in Europe, and they have received refugees. So Church World Service is concentrating its efforts in Moldova, and we have contributed some funding to help them reach out to serve the refugees in Moldova.
I hate to interrupt you, but we're running out of time for the radio broadcast. So we're going to have to end this portion. But before we sign off from the radio broadcast, and then we'll have plenty of time to open it up to the folks that are in the room with us right now, and we can continue. Could you anyone in the sound of our voice who's listening right now and wants to contribute, what is the best way for them to do that?
The best way to do it, if they are American Baptists, there are two options. They could give in their local church and designate it to 1 great hour of sharing Ukraine relief.
Okay.
So 1 great hour of sharing Ukraine relief, or they could send their funds directly to international ministries, make their check payable, if they use checks, and then indicate that, or if they give, they can go to our website and give online, and again, just indicate Ukraine relief.
And the website is?
It's www.internationalministries.org.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to just close us out for this portion. And I want to thank Sir Charles for coming today and for giving us just this beginning. Even in what you've told, I've already made numerous notes about other folks that I can invite to come and present to us. I met Carmela on one of the trips that we were on, so I can reach out to her and ask her to come and speak with us in person through Zoom, and that would be wonderful. And I will be checking the ebf.org and sharing those updates with us going forward. So this is great information for me to have as well.
And by the way, just quickly, Carmela is coming to the US on her USPR assignment. She's supposed to arrive, I think, July 18th in the US.
Oh, okay, wonderful. Do you know where she's going to be in the US?
I'm thinking the DC area. I'm not sure. That's either that or Ohio, where her family is.
All right, great. All right. Well, Sir Charles, it was wonderful to have you. And I just want to close us out here on the radio broadcast with a small prayer before we close this portion out of our program. Let's pray. Gracious God, we thank you for all of the wonderful work that the global servants are doing on the ground in Europe to help in this awful situation, this awful war in Ukraine. And we ask that you provide resources and strength and courage and peace and everything that need healing, all of the things that need to happen in that area. We know that you can provide those things. And we trust that you will work through the hands and feet of those on the ground. And we thank you for International Ministries and for the way that they support this work. And God bless Charles as he continues this work of massive proportions. And we thank you for his ministry and his being with us today. In Jesus' name we pray. Again, if anyone needs to contact and didn't remember any of that contact information that was given, my email is really easy, keddy@tabcom.org, KEDDY@tabcom.org. And you can reach out to me and I can connect you with any of the folks that were mentioned in the broadcast today. So thank you for joining us on Tabcom Voices, and we look forward to seeing you next month. Bye-bye.